Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is April 7, 2023, and we're getting into the volume 55 of me answering your immigration related questions in the comments. As you can see, I have all of them pulled up here. Before we begin, I'm gonna mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide on this channel in the videos are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first one from Kilsjai Tech. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Why it has been 2 years that the visa bulletin did not move? When to move the visa bulletin? I hope this May can move the visa bulletin already. Kilsjai, yes, definitely. I think most of the people, most of the subscribers on this channel, including myself as well, we are checking the visa bulletin and hoping that it's gonna finally move. It's been forever. Now the reason why it's been this long, of course, there's a few reasons. There's a few contributing factors. One of them obviously would be the visa cap in general. That was, as a part of the immigration law implemented by the Congress, by the Department of Homeland Security, basically the limited availability of the immigrant visas that can be issued each year. All right. So that, of course, creates a backlog because most of the times, at least historically, if we look at and you can actually find on the Department of State website, if you really want to dig into the numbers, you can find that information. And maybe one day I'll make a video specifically on it, the statistics right here. And this will just break down exactly how many whatever you see for each year since all the way since 2000. And if you click on whatever, let's take a normal year that didn't have a pandemic or anything like this, let's say for example 2016, and you will find for each individual category, for each individual visa, including immigrant and non-immigrant visas, how many visas were issued. All right, so if you're interested, you can check it out. I'll probably make a separate video for whoever is interested, just to kind of get a overall idea what the immigration numbers look like. All right, so that's one problem that we already had. That's why we had the backlog in the first place. However, as everyone knows, a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had this whole issue that kind of wasn't an issue before, with this whole pandemic, with this whole closures. Basically, there was no immigrant visas issued whatsoever, and in fact non-immigrant visas as well, because U.S. embassies, they were completely shut down for anyone except maybe U.S. citizens if some kind of services are required. So on top of already existing backlog, because of all these closures, we had, on this channel, this is not an official name, I like to call it, because it kind of refers to specifically that backlog accumulated after the pandemic. I call it artificial backlog because it was created by the closures, not by the visa caps, but by all of the closures. And that's why you see some of the categories today, right? They are still being affected today. You see some of these categories that were current, that didn't have any problems with the wait, with the backlog, just the processing. And nevertheless, they are all still waiting. Why? Well, because of that artificial backlog. Now, that's not very good, obviously not very pleasant information to hear, but there is some finally good news that are coming in, somewhat good news, depends on how you take it. Finally, after year and a half, 2 years of absolute no change on the visa bulletin, all right, finally, we see some change in one of the categories, and that's the F2A. If you compare F2A with the previous visa bulletin, you will see that on the previous March visa bulletin, March 2023, it's still showing current, which is completely incorrect information. On April, now it's showing, okay, more or less real numbers. And in fact, obviously for me, it's a little bit easier to compare because I get comments from you all the time. And that's why I kind of started making these volumes, because for people who really want to kind of dig deeper and see and compare, they can watch and they can compare their situation with other people, all right? And for me, it's easier to see compared to some other people because I get the comments all the time and I see which categories, how long they wait for their interviews, how long they wait for their becoming documentarily qualified with NVC. So it gives me a little bit of the insight. And with that being said, I know this is not exactly good news because now instead of showing current, it's showing 3-year backlog, artificial backlog that is, caused by the pandemic closures. At least we see some updates. And I'm thinking that in the next few months, we will see updates on the rest of the categories. That's my personal kind of a hope and prediction at the same time because we finally see the movement, so everything else should follow. Hopefully. But that's why I will keep making these videos on the visa bulletin. Each month the new visa bulletin gonna come up. I will make a brand new video for it. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. And once I see that May 2023 visa bulletin came out, I'll make a video on it and I will go and compare between the April and between the March, and we will see where there is movement and where there isn't yet. Okay, let's move on to the next question comment from Maricela Matias. Hi, my friend. My case is NVC for 2 months. Identical, have a answer yet. Maricela, if you could please clarify that question. I don't think I understand it. I understand that your case is an NVC for 2 months. Did you already submit all the documentation, all the payments, the affidavit of support for their review, or was it already documentarily qualified and it's been 2 months after it was documentarily qualified and you're waiting for an interview? If that's the case, interviews seem to be taking up to a year now after you become documentarily qualified. It again depends on the category, but for most categories it seems like about a year people are waiting for their interviews to be scheduled. And that's again caused by the closures from the pandemic. And we have the NVC, right? And we also have US embassies. And US embassies, obviously, they had all of these appointments accumulated for visas, for non-immigrant visas, for immigrant visas. And now, since they're finally, open as of however long they've been open, maybe a year now, they're catching up. So their schedule seems to be messed up as well. But if you can provide a little bit more information on your case, your category, chargeability area, priority date, I would be able to give you a little bit more information, and also on the current status of the case. It's at NVC, I understand, for 2 months, but is it already documentarily qualified, or you didn't submit any of the documentation yet? Please post a separate comment though. Do not respond within your own comment to this comment, because if you do, I don't get the notification for whatever reason. Alright, let's move on to the next one from Leila Arslan. Thank you so much for answering my question. Leila, you are very welcome. I hope my answer was helpful. Moving on to the next one from Pape Bisan Diouf. Pape, thank you for another question. I appreciate it. Hi, this is Pape Diouf. My case is documentarily qualified for an interview on April 15, 2022. And according to NVC backlog from May 2022 to March 2023, I supposed to receive an interview letter in 2 months, but my priority date is April 2021, category F2A. What do you think about that? Pape, thank you for your comment. I really appreciate it. And again, for everyone who's watching, this is what I was referring to. This is really helpful. It's helpful to me to see where existing cases are and how long they take, and of course for everyone else. If you're wondering if you have your interview pending, you see comments like this, and they tell you, okay, so about a year I'm waiting, and I've been waiting for 6 months, so approximately I have another 6 months. Now, all of these are very rough predictions. I want you to keep in mind, because things might speed up. And I really hope that they will. I think all of us hope that things will speed up. But they can also slow down. So it might be a little bit longer, it might be a little bit shorter. In the case of Pape here, looks like, Papi, your interview is somewhere right around the corner, because for you it's been already a year. In fact, in like 7 days, 8 days, it's going to be a whole year that you are waiting for that interview, and it seems like that's how long people are waiting now, around a year. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but F2A category, I mean, this is the category that was current. And again, if you look at the visa bulletin, you will see that the category that was current is now showing 3-year backlog. Which again, it's not very nice to find that out, but it's better than being in the dark and thinking that it shows current, so it must be current, when it actually is not. So Papi, I would say you have nothing to worry about. Everything looks good on your end. You're not, it's not taking too long. I mean, 1 year waiting for an interview. Don't get me wrong. It's a very long time to wait. And I completely understand it. I'm an immigrant myself. I have petitions myself. So I understand, I'm not telling you like someone who doesn't care, just wait, just wait. Because I'm waiting myself. I know how it feels. It's not easy. But you're almost there, Papi. Just a little bit more patience, and it should be coming up. And I really hope once you get the interview notice, I really hope that you come back here on this channel and let us know, and post a comment with an update, because it's good to have the questions and your updates with questions, but it's also good to know the resolution that I finally got the interview. It's good to know. It gives reassurance and hope, for everyone who's reading, who's watching. Obviously, another thing that you can do, Papi, because you are already documentarily qualified, and because your immigrant visa should already be available, especially according to the visa bulletin, you can send a request with NVC to expedite. But honestly, it's kind of pointless. Really, the only reason why you kind of would do it is just to kind of give them a little bit of a nudge and say, hey guys, I didn't forget about this. Come on, man, hurry up. I need this done. But again, this is most likely not going to be approved, not going to do anything. And at this point of time, it's really kind of pointless. But if you want to do that, you can definitely do it, because you meet all of the criteria to file that. All right, let's move on to the next question from Gadir Zaloom. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Does petitioner's address change affect K1 visa processing time? Great question, Gadir. I haven't had a question like that yet. No, it does not. Whenever it comes to the address change, whether you have a application, petition, whatever it is, when you're submitting the address change, all it does is, especially if you do it electronically, that's why I recommend doing it electronically. It makes it much easier, just filing it online, the address change. Basically, when you do it, it's just for your name in their system, however it looks on USCIS, and it comes up with a new address. So it finds it by the old address, by your name, and then it comes up the new address. So all of the petitions, all of the applications, whatever it is that you have with USCIS, even if you have multiple ones, immediately, if they do need to send a notice, notice of receipt, notice of action, whatever kind of notice it is, it pulls up that brand new address that is there. So it's very straightforward, and it does not affect the processing times. The only time it can affect processing times is if there is a kind of a sort of a user error. All right. For example, if a petitioner moved and there was some kind of notice sent to them already to the old address, and they did not update it to the new address on time, now there is a little bit of delay because that notice is lost. The petitioner doesn't know that there is some kind of notice of action that was sent. Now that creates delay in processing. But other than that, whenever you are just casually updating the address, it does not create any delays in the processing. Let me put this before I forget, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Simone Williams. Simone, please pleasant day to you and the viewers. I want to congratulate you on your journey in helping persons like me to have a better in of our immigration status. Keep up the good work. May the Lord continue to guide you so you can enlighten us. Simone, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, that's why I started this channel, you know, because I've been through it myself, and you know, if I can share a little bit of it and whatever knowledge I have or whatever, you know, it's I feel like I'm not wasting, you know, all this experience that God gave me, that, you know, all the life that I've gone through so far. So it's my pleasure, Simone, and I really appreciate you letting me know. You know, it means a lot. I appreciate the questions too, and I appreciate answering the questions because you give me the opportunity to make these videos. But it's also good to know that I'm being helpful. You know, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Muhammad Mamoon. I'm filing I-751, okay, with my spouse who is a US citizen in part 3. So I-751, for everyone who's watching, it's the basically removal of the conditions on the permanent residence. There are certain, sometimes, and a lot of times it has to do with a marriage. They give a conditional permanent resident, and after a certain time, you can file the form I-751 to remove those conditions so that it's no longer a conditional permanent residence, it's actual permanent residence, like permanent residence. I think it's called not conditional permanent residence, I think it's called conditional residence. But anyway, with my spouse who is a US citizen, in part 3, do I need to add her and my name? Also, do I need to add her name in part 7 of family member? Please clarify. Mohammed, let's take a look at USCIS. I'm going to use this question as an opportunity to demonstrate navigation on the official USCIS, US Citizenship and Immigration Services government website. And I know I do it in every video. If you watch every volume that I make, thank you for that. And I'm sorry if I'm being repetitive, but I really would like to, everyone who's watching this channel, one of the benefits of this channel, to give you the tools so that you can understand it, really understand it. Not just answer your question, say, oh, this way, do this, do that, put that, that's it. But actually show you how it's done, where to find information, and point you to the correct source. And this is the source. This is one of the only sources out there that you need for all of your immigration needs. This is official government website. You can't go wrong with it. So, with that being said, we're gonna go to forms in the top navigation menu here. Then we're gonna click on all forms, and this is in alphabetic order, so you can scroll down to the form, or you can just type the number 751. Let's see. Petition to remove conditions on residence. Okay, so that's what it's called. That's the correct name for it. I don't remember what I called it, but yes, it's to remove the conditional conditions on the residence. So we're gonna open up. This looks like you can file it online, so it has to be filed physically by mail, paper application. So you will find instructions for the form. You will find the form itself. So we're gonna click on the form, and I'll see if it's clear enough in the form so I can answer the question just by looking at the form. So we're looking in part 3. Do I need to add her name and my name? All right, let's scroll down to part 3. There we go. Basis for petition. All right. Joint filing. My conditional residence is based on my marriage or my parents' marriage to a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, and I'm filing this joint petition together with, okay, so it's going to be my spouse, obviously, in your case. Waiver or individual filing request. That does not apply to you. So you are filing jointly. And moving further, so yeah, that's it. That's really it. So I guess that's what you're asking. Part 3. Let's see. Part 3. Do I need to add her and my name? Well, there is no place to add any names in the part 3, but in the part 4, there we go. Information about the U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident spouse relationship. So it's going to be spouse for you. And then here, other information. Let's see. information about the U.S. citizen if filing as child separately. Okay, so this is information about your spouse now here in the part 4, not part 3. Part 3 you're just selecting the my spouse 1A, and then in the part 4 you're putting her information. So it's going to be her name here, last name, first name, middle name, if she has any, date of birth. If she doesn't have any, and I'm going to mention this actually, Muhammad, if you're filing paper forms, paper applications, make sure that you don't leave anything blank. For example, if your spouse does not have a middle name, don't leave this blank. Put N/A, not applicable. Obviously here is going to be, your spouse last name, your spouse first name, but if she doesn't have middle name, put not applicable. If she doesn't have alien registration number, which she might not because maybe she's born here and she never been through the immigration process, just put none. All right, you get the point. Don't leave anything blank, because I've seen hundreds of times the applicant, probably I said less number than I actually seen. I've seen more than 100 times where the application was sent back. It was not denied, it was not anything like disastrous, but they just send it back and they say, hey, you left blank fields, put either not applicable or none. Don't leave blank fields. So you fill it out, you send it back, and then they accept it. Not a big deal. It just creates quite a long delay. Like you're wasting like at least a month, all right? So you definitely don't want that. But here, yes, it's going to be your spouse's information, her name, social security number, all that stuff, physical address, and then let's see what else you had. Also, do I need to add her name in part 7 of family member? Let's take a look at the part 7 now. We're going to scroll down to part 7. There we go. Petitioner statement, contact information. Okay, so that's just your certification. Basically, this is going to be you, the petitioner. All right. So you will put, I can read and understand English, obviously, because you can read and understand English. If she's helping you prepare stuff, let's see. Let me read the whole thing. So petitioner's statement, petitioner's contact information, acknowledgement of appointment at USCIS application support. I don't think you need to sign this. This will be signed with the USCIS. I understand that the purpose of USCIS ASC appointment is for me to provide fingerprints, photograph, or signature, and reaffirm that all the information in my... I understand that I will sign my name to the following declaration. I declare under penalty. I think you might need to sign this as well, acknowledgement of appointment. Or you have to wait for the appointment to sign this. Let's take a look actually at the instructions. And I know you didn't ask me about it, so maybe you know, but I would like to provide information just in case, so that we don't miss anything important, because I don't want you to wait unnecessary time. So let's see, Control F, we are looking for acknowledgement. And this is, by the way, a very good tool for everyone to know. If you're watching and if this does not pertain to you, a really good tip that saved me a lot of time, helped me quite a lot, and I think it can help a lot of people. Because these are all documents in PDF, all these applications forms, all these instructions, you can search for keywords within the instructions. So for example, let's say Muhammad, is sitting and filling out this application, right? 751. He's filling it out, he gets to this point right here, and then he's like, should I sign it right now? Or should I wait for the appointment? I don't know. So we look at the acknowledgement. Sorry, I'm an immigrant too. Acknowledgement of appointment at USCIS. So the keyword here is acknowledgement. We're going to copy this. We're going to go to instructions. And then I'm going to get rid of this. Control F opens up a search bar within the document. And then we just put in acknowledgement, search, and there you go. So here it is. Here's the instructions for that particular section right here. So if you have question for this, there you go. You found it instantly in 10 pages, which is very convenient. So hopefully this is helpful. So acknowledgement of appointment at USCIS applications. Review the ASC acknowledgement that appears in part 7. The purpose of this ASC acknowledgement is to confirm that you have completed your petition, reviewed your responses, and affirmed that the information was provided by you and is complete true. If someone helped you fill out, okay, Okay, so it looks like you do need to sign this. You do need to sign this. You don't need to wait. Honestly, this is very confusing. I hope USCIS updates this. This is confusing because it makes you think that you have to sign it during the appointment, which it isn't. But anyway, so you do need to sign it according to the instructions. All right, so let's scroll down further. Let's see, petitioner statement, contact information, it's the same thing. So we got certification, so you will be signing this as well. Let's see, part 8, spouse or individual listed in part 4, statement, contact information, acknowledgement. Okay, so this is the same thing. Part 8 is exactly as part 7. This is where the spouse is going to be signing now. So here, same thing, she will select I can read and understand English, all right? And then contact information, and then the acknowledgement, signature, and then also the certification. Now, whenever it comes to the preparers, interpreters, if it's your spouse that is helping you fill out the information, you don't need to put her as a preparer. In fact, you know, if you're, let's say you're assisting your parents, you're assisting your brother, if it's the family member assisting each other with the application, you don't need to put them as the preparer. Preparer are referred to whenever there is a third-party company that specializes in preparing these applications as a service. They put their information here. If it's just a family member helping another family member, you don't need to put them. All right, Mohammed. Sorry I took a little bit long to answer your question, but I hope I was very detailed and I hope I actually gave you some value in my answer. No, not acknowledgement. We're gonna put this response right here. If you have any other questions, do not hesitate to come back and ask them. Just make sure not respond under your comment, submit it as a separate comment. All right, let's move to the next one. Next question from Prem. Hi, I'm assuming I would like to file extension of stay for my in-laws and have a few questions. All right. If I am preparer filing I-539 for my in-laws, do I need to file separate I-539 for each of them? Do I also need I-539A along with I-539? Okay, great question. So, the way I-539 looks, that's the whole point of I-539A supplemental form, is that if you do have on one application, if you do have a couple, for example, husband, wife, family, you know, brother, sister, whatever, right? If there is more than one, if it's like the whole family, for example, filing, you submit one I-539, the main application to extend or change the status, and then a supplemental I-539A for everyone else who is also part of that I-539, all right? So no, you don't need to file a separate I-539 for each of them, just one I-539 and one I-539A for the second person. So whoever you can choose your, you know, your father-in-law as I-539 main, and then your mother-in-law for I-539A, or the other way around. It doesn't really matter. I read from the instructions, that's number 2, question number 2. I read from the instructions that if there are dependents, we need to file separate form I-539A for each dependent. Yes, let's say my father-in-law is the primary applicant. Will my mother-in-law is dependent and need to file I-539A? Yes, and it's going to be all as part of the same document package. It's not going to be sent separately, it will all be sent together. So if you do have one main and one dependent, it's going to be 2 forms, I-539 and I-539A. If you have one main, let's say for example, a father and, well, let's say husband, wife, and then 2 kids, right? A family. And they all need to extend their visa. It's going to be one I-539A, one I-539, and then 3 I-539As. I've been talking for way too long. It's been 30 minutes already. Sorry about that. So very straightforward. Whenever it comes to the fees, I know you didn't ask, but I'll still say you pay the I-539 fee, all right? And then you pay a biometric fee for each person, however many. So let's say again, if we have, in your case, it's going to be one I-539 fee, which I think is like $400, And then $85 for father-in-law, $85 for mother-in-law. 2 biometrics fees because there are 2 people. If let's say there are 4 people, 1 I-539 fee and then 4 biometric fee. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to ask them. More than welcome. Okay, let's move on. I think this is going to be our last questions today from Jacqueline Anoya. Jacqueline, thank you for asking the questions. Let's see. Is true that will be no more interview? Not sure if in our case as F4 will be any interview. Great question, Jacqueline. Yes, so there is a conversation. There is a talk. In fact, I've seen news, I don't remember where, that they're planning to get rid of the interviews. But the interviews that they're planning to get rid of are more so for the categories like those people that got their status based on asylum, refugee, right? So the people who have been living already here for, well, if you're granted asylum after 1 year, you can apply for permanent residence. For those categories, they are planning to get rid of the interviews. I think they're trying to streamline it. I'm not sure if it's gonna work out or not. They're still doing it, but I don't know if they will ever get rid of the interviews for whenever it comes to alien relative petition at the US Embassy. And the reason why I think they will never get rid of it is because you actually have to go and get that immigrant visa. All right, there is no way to bypass that step because you have to actually appear at the US Embassy or the USCIS service center if the beneficiary is here in the United States, and actually get that I-551 or the adjustment of status basically done. So I don't think they will ever get rid of those interviews. So we'll see. As of right now, they are still doing the interviews. In fact, that's why a lot of people are waiting, because they are waiting for that interview to be scheduled. Okay, and the second question from Jacqueline. I filed my document 2006 as F4 and I just got approved from NVC in February 2023. After all the document been sent and paid all fee, how long will I have to wait to get any interview? I'm from Canada, the US Embassy in Montreal, Canada. Jacqueline, that's great news. Congratulations. F4, I can definitely relate. I have a petition, F4 petition myself, waiting for my brother, and I have like 13 more years to wait, which is ridiculous. And you have been waiting already very, very long time, since 2006, and I'm actually gonna open up the visa bulletin. Yeah, so they're showing December 2007, and you have been already documentarily qualified, and you are since 2006. So it shows kind of what the backlog is right now, and it looks like it's about a year and a half, artificial backlog that is, on this particular category. So we will probably see the movement in the next few months on the F4 in basically going backwards. The numbers looking worse than better. So instead of 2007, it's gonna probably be changed to 2006, because that looks like what they are taking as of right now. But you're already documentarily qualified as of February 2023, which is just recent, just now. It means that your immigrant visa is either already available or should be available very, very soon. Here's one recommendation that I can give you, Jacqueline. Your immigrant visa probably is not available just yet. However, if you look at the visa bulletin, according to the most recent visa bulletin, it is already available, which gives you all the criteria, all the requirements that you need to meet in order to send a request to NVC to expedite your case, because you're already documentarily qualified, and according to the visa bulletin, your immigrant visa should already be available. So all you really need to do, I've done a video on how to submit that expedite request. All you really need to do is send the email to NVC saying, hey guys, I am documentarily qualified, my immigrant visa is already available, and I know it might not be available. That's true. But according to their own information, Department of State, they are telling us with this visa bulletin that it should already be available for as a year back. It should already be available. So we go by this information, all right? Yeah, we understand that it might not be available because of this and that, and this hasn't been updated, yes. But according to this information, it is available, and I am requesting an expedited processing because I have an emergency situation. I haven't seen my relatives for so long. I haven't seen my brother, sister. I haven't, they need my support. They need me to be with them. Basically, as any family goes, all right? Any family that has not been together, that has not been reunified, the right word, for a very long time, since 2006, it's an emergency, all right? So that's one thing you can do. Overall, I would say whenever it comes to waiting for an interview, looks like people are waiting around 1 year for an interview. So if you have been documentarily qualified in February, it means NVC probably already sent your case to the local embassy in Montreal, and they're just waiting to schedule the appointment. Usually they schedule appointments 30 days before the appointment is available, all right? That's why people are waiting for a long time, and then once they get the appointment, they have 30 days to do their medical examination and then go for the interview and finally get that immigrant visa that we're all waiting for. But Jacqueline, if you have any additional questions, do not hesitate, and it goes for everyone. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. I really appreciate it. Really hope that my answers are helpful. That's it for today. Probably we'll do another one tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.